Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the 16 pregame show. Game day, week one. This is the first pregame show of the 2021 college football season for the Miami Hurricanes. Joined here always by the crew: Jakari Givens, Paul Austria, and none other than the man himself, Alex Donald. Thank you guys for joining on the show. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, man. It's
Of course,
nice
man.
to be back, and it just feels so good. I know that a lot of people are nervous about what might happen today when Miami takes on Alabama. I'm not nervous. I'm excited. I am pumped, and I'm pumped to have college football back in my life.
Oh man, I'm so pumped too. I'm so excited for this game. Win or lose. I mean, look, this is an opportunity, man, to start off on national television week one against the defending national champion Alabama Crimson Tide. So yeah, is it going to be a test? Is it going to be tough to kind of pull this one out? Absolutely, but I wouldn't want it any other way. I think being in the national spotlight, playing against this type of team right off the bat kind of tells you that Miami's doing some good things, and obviously when you get to play a team like Alabama, I think that if you could, not even win, but if you can kind of stay close, then I think that
No, Jazz.
you
We're
know,
not
yo,
doing
stop,
that.
stop,
We're not
stop,
doing.
stop, Jock,
No,
stop, stop,
Preach,
stop,
Jakari.
stop,
it's
stop,
it's
stop.
not Jazz. We're not.
No,
This is not a moral victory sport. Okay,
I'm
like
not
hey,
trying to. I'm not trying to say moral victories. I'm not trying to say moral victories. It's still here's the biggest thing, right? This is what I kind of wanted to start off with because some people told me this past week that this wasn't a trap game for UNC last night, I thought it was Jock, but it wasn't Jock because Jock likes to fight me on everything. But whatever. It wasn't Jock, but someone told me that this wasn't a trap game from UNC, that they were going to be ready to go, that this game they've been waiting for so long to be, ranked so high and this, that, and the other. And I said, no way, man. Especially when you're playing Virginia Tech, this is a trap game for them. So it happened, right? They obviously went down last night to Virginia Tech,
they
which
did. I
is,
mean,
a half
I
decent
didn't
team.
understand the hype on UNC anyway. They lost so much production last year. They
Neither
lost
did
two
I.
bats, 2,000 yard rushers. You lost
Yep.
the other kid, the receiver, Damani Brown. Then you lost Daz Newsome. Like that was they lost a lot of production, and they O line played so bad in that game. It was atrocious. So I like anytime you playing Blacksburg anyway, it's a trap game anyway.
Well, their offensive line coach is Stacy Steers, but I'll leave it there.
Yeah,
Uh,
and also, guys, on that game, I mean, the crowd was ridiculous at Virginia Tech, and it's something we kind of forgot about last year
Yeah.
because we weren't seeing those around the country. And then you're reminded, oh man, you play a night game or an evening game. Like it started at 6, but still a night game. I would consider that at Virginia Tech. They're doing Enter Sandman. That crowd goes crazy. It's like stepping into a wood chipper.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, and just to kind of play off of that. I mean, they mentioned it last night. UNC lost, and not only did they lose all those guys, but those guys, 4 out of the 5 guys were their top receivers as well. It was like they accounted for like 2,500 yards in receiving yards, and then you have to replace all of those guys, and then of course Virginia Tech is going to kind of key in on Josh. I think his name's Josh Downs, the wide receiver. And they've got to transfer him from Tennessee. It's a running back, but I don't know how good he's going to be. So yeah, I mean that was a tough environment to be in game one for them.
Virginia Tech quarterback is terrible. Kid, like he was bad last night. So it
Yeah,
was.
and they still pulled it off. So that kind of tells you. I mean, Virginia Tech is always going to be a tough out for anybody. So, but nevertheless, I guess where I was going with that also is, does that play into the mindset? And I hate to say it, but does that play into the mindset of the Miami Hurricanes going into this game, right? Because now you see, well, they
No,
dropped their ACC opener. Does that play into it?
no, that it doesn't play into the Hurricanes. I think it played more into Alabama, just because opening weekend, like you play Saturday, you always have 2 games in front of you: Thursday, Friday, and then you have Saturday, and then they all normally have a big game Sunday and Monday because it's Labor Day. So when you're a ranked team and you see those teams go down, it puts you with your antennas up, like, hey, we can't go out here half stepping. We got to come out, play hard, do our job, so we don't be on that national ranking. You look at the UNC game. UNC was playing terrible. Virginia Tech just hung around, and they pulled it off. And it was the same thing with Ohio State. Ohio State was playing not up to the standards that we've seen lately. They hung like but they were able to pull off late. against that team. So it has your antennas up, and it has Miami's antennas up in this situation, as in like we can win. Like we seen it across the country, we can win. Like it's not gonna be like a blowout or whatever. But I do think Miami has to play mistake-free football. They kind of did some stuff I didn't like this week during the media, not especially against Nick Saban, because he's one of those coaches that he doesn't talk about it, but he uses that clip that you saying, "Oh, we're gonna continue." Like if you look at when they beat LSU, I mean LSU beat them and over Elgeron, like we're gonna continue to beat them, and you see how Saban came back and was letting them know like, "Hey, this is not gonna keep happening." So, you kind of just have to play football today. I think Miami has a chance to win, but it just depends up front. We got to see how they hold up front.
Donald and Paul, we'll go to you guys. What do you guys think about that? First of all, about if it does affect the gameplay, the mentality of either Alabama or Miami today going into this game. But what does that do for Miami's thought process going not only after this game but going on into ACC play and everything else?
I mean, I think Shikari's right. I don't think it changes Miami's thought process very much because Miami's been the heavy underdog all along, right? So I don't think their mentality changes. I think Miami, they're going to have to not only, I 100% agree, they have to play mistake-free football because the margins between Miami and Alabama can afford to make a few mistakes because they have so much talent. Miami absolutely cannot. So I don't think it changes Miami's mentality one bit. I think Alabama's mentality, this was my expectation coming into today, and I think it's only reinforced for them. They're treating this like a business trip. I mean, Alabama knows that basically all of their starters, I mean, maybe De'Aaron King might be good enough to start on Alabama because the jury's still out on Bryce Young. Outside of that, most of their starting positions, Alabama have the better athletes and the better players starting 1 from 22 to Miami. So I think they're just going to treat this like a business trip. Would not surprise me if, and this is the reason why I think Miami is going to cover the 19.5-point spread for what that's worth. I think for this first game, breaking in a new quarterback with limited collegiate experience in Bryce Young. Of course, he was a stud high school player. Everybody on Alabama's roster was a stud high school player. But I think they're going to be extra conservative. I think they're really going to try to establish the run. So, Miami has to be better than they were against North Carolina last year, for example, because Alabama would love to run for 544 yards against Miami. So I think they're going to try to establish the run. I think Bill O'Brien's going to be calling high percentage throws for Bryce Young, and they're going to try to establish the run before they really get the pass in there. So I just think that Alabama's philosophy will probably lead to fewer explosive plays than we're used to from them in recent years when they had established guys like Mac Jones last year and Tua Tagovailoa in years prior. I'd much rather be facing Alabama right now than about a month from now, because a month from now, I expect Bryce Young to be putting up Alabama quarterback type numbers over the last few years. I just don't know if they're going to have enough confidence in him to do that today. So it's going to be more of a run heavy offense. And I think, guys, this is something Alabama's going to try to limit. Not only, like Jakari said, does Miami need to play mistake free, they've got to force, I think, at least 2 big mistakes from Bama, right? You've got to get a couple of game-changing turnovers. You've got to get an interception. You've got to get a fumble recovery, X type of plays, because if you have a turnover-free game on both sides, it probably means Bama's winning by a few touchdowns. So Miami has to get some turnovers today.
Paul, what do you think?
Yeah. So I would say that, if Miami was intently watching the Virginia Tech North Carolina game, then their heads are not in the right place, because I feel like they already have a big test in front of them, like right now, to even divert their attention for even like a minute. So, I don't think it affects Miami or Bama at all. I think there's just too much at stake right now. The big thing is that I agree with both of you guys that Miami does need to make game-changing plays, aka turnovers, especially when, not only integrating Bryce Young into the fold, but also with because they have a new offensive coordinator, Bill O'Brien, as well, too. So it's kind of just that. And I'm sure like both teams will have that first game jitters in a way. Like I agree with you, Dono. Like it's good that we're facing Bama now, because we can kind of catch them off guard in certain places. I mean, they're still scary nonetheless. It's still a basically a mini NFL factory. So it's still Bama. It's still a Saban coach team, and like for me, it's just like it's one of those things where even if we've seen like a number of Saban blowing up on his team at halftime, like we've seen plan speeches. So like if they do struggle in the first half, it's not like it's going to last the whole game. You know, he's going to make any adjustments, and then it'll just be a game of adjustments where how Miami adjusts to their adjustments. And a lot of it's going to be on Derek King to just be who he is. I think after seeing all the hard work recovering from his injury, I guess all the NIL deals, if you want to throw those in there, just to see like what he's really about, and if that knee's really healed, and if he's ready for still a very loaded Bama defense that returns a bunch of its starters. They're gonna have corners that basically force the receivers to beat them. Even if they are integrating a newer running back and a new receiver, it's still at the end of the day, it's still Bama, and you would hope that Miami does not just focus on covering the spread, but also just give themselves a chance in this game.
Well, so, and I kind of wanted to kind of piggyback off of that. I spoke about this a lot in a show that I did this past week where we broke down the offensive line, because I think that, as cliche as it sounds, I feel like that's gonna be it, right? The battle in the trenches again, right? It's very cliche to say, but at the end of the day, you've got speed versus power, strength versus size, so all these things, right? But for me, it's about more than that. I think that I want to get your take on all of your take on the offensive line for Miami going up against the defensive line for the Alabama Crimson Tide, right? So, like, for me, that's going to be the biggest matchup, because the other side of the ball, we know that, like you said, Nick Saban is going to try to establish the run, even with Brian Robinson and that big offensive line. Our offensive line is not very small; it's big as well. Actually, we average more weight than Alabama's offensive line if you look at the numbers. So I heard something real interesting that someone mentioned was play how you weigh, right? That's what I heard. It's play how you weigh. And if the offensive line, if you're talking about the offensive line, play how you weigh, you have to in order to have a shot in this game to be able to beat Alabama, right? So my thing is pain is pain. I don't care if you're Will Anderson. I don't care if you're LeBron Ray, Christian Harris, all these big boys that Bama has. You got to hit them. You got to hit them in their chest. You got to hit them hard. You got to punch them in the mouth early in order to have a chance here. And they're going to feel it just as much as we would, right? Because at the end of the day, pain is the same for everybody. Okay, so if we can establish that and we can kind of get that running game going between the tackles, not outside, because it's a different game, right? We got to run in between the tackles. I think that if you can establish that early and punch them and hit them hard and have Cam Harris put his helmet right in Will Anderson's chest, things like that, then you might have a chance where to say, okay, hold on a second, all right, these guys came to play. Talk to me a little bit about what that's going to be like in this game and how important it is for us to kind of establish that. And I'll start with Donald on this one first.
Well, I mean, Miami, they have the most experienced offensive line in college football if you go by caps starts. So we need them to play with that experience. And you talk about playing to their weight, that's important as well. Right. I mean, this offensive line, I look at the depth chart for today. I need DJ Scaife to hold up at right tackle. Obviously, like you said, running in the interior is important. Navon Donaldson at right guard, Jalen Rivers at left guard. They're going to have their work cut out for them against the best defensive front they're going to see all season long, guys. And the bottom line is, in a game like this, it's going to be won and lost in the trenches. You can say that about a lot of games, but Miami is going to win, I think, a handful of games in the ACC this season, based on playmakers, X-guys, based on De'Aaron King having escapability, right, and Charleston Rambo coming in and making plays as an important grad transfer. So there are going to be some games where De'Aaron King being elusive and just being a big play guy is going to win Miami some football games, but he can't do it by himself today. If Miami cannot establish a running game between the tackles, then what's going to happen is De'Aaron King is going to start to get sacked a lot, and De'Aaron King is going to be running for his life a lot. And it's not something you want for a guy who's testing out a surgically repaired knee for the first time. because he's looked really good in practice and he recovered very quickly from it because he's a really hardworking, diligent guy. But in practice, he's been wearing the non-contact jersey and no one is allowed to even breathe on him. So this is going to be, going up against live bullets for the first time since he got injured last year. You need to try and protect him. And obviously
these are hollow point bullets, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. No, they certainly are not. And so it's going to be hard enough for this O-line to protect De'Aaron King. But then you get later in the game, and if you can't run the football, then Miami's playing from behind, and they're having to sling it on every down, and it's going to be target practice for him. So the offensive line, to me, they have the most important job because there are going to be some games, if the O-line doesn't step up, Miami can still win. This is not one of those games. They have to do their job today. They have to. I'm not going to say they have to dominate, but they have to hold their own.
Paul.
I definitely agree. I think, it's no secret that, most of Bama's defense will find, itself in the NFL draft all down the road. So these are not guys that are just flukes. Like these guys are legit, and I think it's now basically like, Miami has all the experience on the line, would essentially translate the way we wanted to. I think that it's very crucial that, like Donald said, like they have to protect De'Aaron King for him to make plays. Because if De'Aaron King can make plays, it definitely keeps Miami in the game. And I think even vice versa too. I think this is also a good chance for Miami's defensive line to kind of get into Alabama's heads. How much they do it, I don't know. But and the thing is, like, we're also think about it. Miami also has Jafari Harvey, and they also have Doug McCloud on the edges. And I think it's still, to me, it's still much of like a prove it thing. I feel like this is the first time we're going to see Zach McCloud at defensive end, and I think Jafari Harvey. We've seen flashes of what he can do, but we still haven't really fully seen what he's capable of. I mean, obviously, like we know the accolades from high school, but like this is still like we're kind of. I don't think we're waiting on him to kind of prove it, but this is the time. This is the game to kind of start kind of flashing like what you're really capable of. And I think that I'm sure that there's definitely a bunch of other battles involved with this game. Like to me, I'm also thinking about Miami's receivers creating separation. I feel like Bama's defense will probably try to defend Miami the same way that Clemson did last year, where they're gonna force the receivers to try and create separation. And if they can't, then who is Derrick going to throw to? And it's just not going to bode well. I think that it's like Bama has big good up front, like they do, and it's if Miami can't penetrate, then it's just going to be a tough game for them all night.
Jock, how are they gonna? So how is Miami gonna be able to be successful in the trenches? But what are they gonna have to do to, to win this game, right? To be able to hang with Alabama.
First, they have to establish the run on offense. That's the biggest thing. Because one thing I will tell you, just from playing, like it's one thing.
Which, by the way, hold on. You just mentioned playing. Kansas beat South Dakota State and rushed the field last night, baby. Big ups to Kansas. Let's go. Jayhawk Nation over there.
Yeah, they're a work in progress. But, from playing, like, it's demoralizing as a defense when you can't stop the run, right? When a team is just gashing you and it's like, damn, I can't do nothing about it. And, like, I'm getting blown off the ball, it's demoralizing. So I think Miami has to establish the run first. And they have to win their one-on-one battles. So the shots that they do take downfield or vice versa with Alabama, you have to win, right? So every game has at least 15 of those opportunities. And if you connect on them, guess what? You're scoring. You're winning the games. And they have to force turnovers, right? Rattle the young kid, Bryce Young. Even though I don't think he'll really get rattled because the kid has played some big-time high school football. Obviously, he's got in blowouts at Alabama last year, so it's kind of like he has experience. But we'll see. Like I said, I think Miami has a chance to win this game, but everything has to go right. And Manny Diaz has to coach correctly, so he can't be doing stupid stuff like, hey, I'm going to try to go for it or do something like this just because, Alabama. So, for instance, Alabama jumped out 14-0, right? Like, you can't start coaching like you're down, 35-0. Like, you have to still play a whole game, right? So, I think he has to just coach a good game, not try to out-coach himself out of the victory either. So, I just think Miami has to do those three things and just play football. You know what I mean? It's a game. It's the first game of the year, so jitters are at an all time high. Alabama in times past has come out rolling. They rolled every team they played. You know when Saban has been there in that first game. But Miami has a great shot. They just have to do those things that I mentioned to have a chance to win the game. So keep
You
it
know what?
close. Keep
You
it
mentioned
close.
you mentioned something, and I'm gonna give you an incredible stat right now that I don't think a lot of people know. But Alabama has been favored in 81 straight games, and 153 out of their last 154 games have they been favored. And the game that they were not favored, they won. So I mean, yeah. This team is they are who they are, right? They are who we thought they were. Okay, to channel my inner Denny Green there. Um, for me, again, it's still got to be about the inside, right? The trenches, man. We can talk about Mike Harley and Rambo going up against Josh Jobe and all the other guys that they have in the secondary and how important it's going to be for them to create separation. But listen, if De'Aaron King doesn't have time in the pocket to get the ball out, then it's a moot point, right? At this, I think that the guys can create some separation. I like our wide receiver core, Keyshawn Johnson. Listen to me, woo! Imagine that, right? Keyshawn Smith, and all the other guys. Will Mallory, I think, is going to play a huge role in this game as well, going up against the linebackers and the nickel cornerbacks and all that. And their jack, I guess their jack is what they call their striker, their jack or their star, or whatever it is. So I think that's going to be important. Obviously, all those matchups are going to be important. But at the end of the day, if Miami can't block and can't establish the run, like Jock said, then I just don't see Miami keeping it close. I don't see Miami winning, right? So Cam Harris is going to have a great game. Don Chaney is going to have a great game. Whoever's behind them, because I don't think Jalen Knight is going to be playing today. But Thad Franklin, Cody Brown, any of those guys that kind of get in, I don't know if they'll get too much time. I think it's Cam Harris and Don Chaney today. But whoever it is that's running the ball, offensive line is going to have to put their helmet and their hands on those guys on the other side, right? Whether it's the nose guard, I can't remember his name now, but he's a big dude. He's like 325, and then LeBron Ray and Will Anderson and Christian Harris, all these guys that come down and rush a quarterback as well. So, but kind of transitioning to that, I think you all mentioned this was the battle at quarterback, right, between Bryce Young and De'Aaron King. Okay, Bryce Young with I think he said there was 133 total snaps. I know he's played in 9 games last year in mop up duty, and he did all right. He didn't do bad. But you've got De'Aaron King coming off of his knee injury. Looks better than he did before, if that's even a thing. Looks better than he did before, and he's got over 2,000 snaps in college football. Second go around with Rhett Lashley in this offense, which is the first time he's ever done that as well as a player. So I think that it's going to be very important, the play of the quarterback position, right? Talk to me a little bit, and I'll start with Paul on this real quick, since we're up against it. We got about 8 minutes left. Paul, talk to me a little bit real quick about what's going to have to happen from the quarterback position as a whole, right? The battle between both Bryce Young and De'Aaron King, and how important that's going to be in this game.
Well, I think King. I actually feel very confident about King going in this game. I think you mentioned I was just thinking about how with the continuity finally, he's desired offensive coordinator. It's definitely it's and things like I guess they had like a less how you say I guess I mean I feel like him and Lashley have kind of worked more together this weekend with this past off season with restrictions kind of easing down a bit. So they've definitely been able to get more work in, and I think that would bode well for King of Miami. It's just like I think that it still becomes a battle whether he can be protected, but also just like if the guys are run can make plays. I think you mentioned the running game, Jazz. I'm not gonna say Miami doesn't get a running game because they will, but I feel like from what I've heard from Lashley just seems very content that it's still kind of a passing game. Or if they can make plays through the air, if even if the can make plays on his feet with his feet, then it's fine. I think that I mean they can't go a game without a running game. Like there has to be something, but I would say it has to be just enough for them to kind of give respect for King. At least help King, kind of
Well,
make plays in the passing game.
well, here's the thing, right? And I want to throw it to you, Jock, and we'll end with Donald on this one. I think it's just as important for Cam Harris and Don Chaney to run the football well. I think it's going to be just as important for De'Aaron King to be able to run a little bit and get those extra yards and kind of be able to use his legs to get some first downs in this game. Because and I know that we're all nervous about him and his knee, but it is going to be important for him to do that as well. Because if everything's covered down the field, he's going to have to make some plays with his legs, right?
Yeah, like me and you were talking about in chat yesterday. I honestly think Bryce Young is a better quarterback than De'Aaron King. Obviously, King has more experience, and we've seen a lot more of him. But I think Bryce, as a passer, is better than King. And I think you'll see some things today. They have the RPO game that they'll be able to throw out. I think King has to go absolutely ballistic today. Like he has to have like a Johnny Manziel type game, 100 yards
Yeah,
rushing, 300 yards passing.
a Heisman
Just
game. He's going to have a Heisman game.
yeah, just because the quarterback run game throws teams off anyway because you can't defend it, right? And it's tough to defend. So I think, in the battle in that sense, I think as just if we talk about peer players, Bryce is better. But as more production, King has him, and I think King should be able to keep the ground rolling and make sure that he does his thing. I'm not worried about him as a player. Injuries and injuries, but you just have to play the game. You're gonna be out there playing. You can't be worried about your knee or whatever like that because you're gonna play so bad, So
Let's see if we can create some controversy here. Donald, do you think that Bryce Young is a better quarterback than De'Aaron King?
I think he will be. I don't think he is today. That's my
I agree.
thing. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, I think listen, probably a year within the next year, we're going to be saying, "Oh wow, Bryce Young, better college player than De'Aaron King was." But I think today Miami has the advantage at quarterback, and something, guys, I'm expecting today. Well, not just today, but all season long. Rhett Lashley offenses tend to make a big jump in year two. Like year two is when it becomes second nature. We saw SMU take a big jump in his second year. I think that's going to be the case this year for Miami. And for this game today, I love the fact that De'Aaron King, he's very experienced. He's in his 6th year as a college football player, and he's surrounded by experienced players in the skill positions. I mean, 2 of his starting receivers today in Mike Harley and and Charleston Rambo are both seniors. He's got a senior starting in his backfield. He's got a junior in tight end at Will Mallory. So he's surrounded by experienced players. We're not going to have to worry. Well, I'm sure there's going to be a rotation at receiver, surely, but the guys he's really relying on today are not the types that this moment is going to be too big for them. So he's surrounded by experience, which I like. And I think King is going to have a nice game. I'm really not worried about King. He's not going to be the reason why Miami loses this game if they lose it. It's just going to be whether the game is won or lost in the trenches. So I think De'Aaron King is going to be fine today. And yeah, if Miami's going to win, he probably has to be, like Jock said, extraordinary.
Yep. And by the way, and just to kind of end that off, I agree with you, Donald. I echo exactly the sentiment that you just said. But on the opposite side of the football, we've got experience also, and we've got an SEC guy in Tyreek Stevenson that's been in these big games before as
but
well.
he's not
So I
even
think that's going to
starting.
help. Huh?
Not even starting.
He's going to start. Forget about the depth chart, right? You're the first one that says that. Forget about.
Well,
the
he's
depth
like
chart.
isn't he listed as like a co-starter?
Yeah, he's a
So yeah,
co-starter.
he might start.
Yeah, I think he's definitely going to start.
Eventually move to safety though, because he's fucking.
He might. Yeah, he is huge. He's 215 right now, 6'1", 215 or 6 feet, whatever he is. But so before we head out, just some fun and games here, real cool. We'll get a score prediction from you guys, but we'll also say game day food, right? What's your game day food of choice this year? Paul, we'll start with you. Give me your game day food for today's game, and give me a prediction.
Just give me. I'm a huge pizza guy. Just give me all the day pizza.
All right. Pizza it is for Paul.
You can give me. I'll throw in some wings there too. And I gotta have like a soda from like a Pepsi or a Coke too. But prediction wise, I want to say I'm taking Bama 35-20.
All right. That's all right, man. We can be honest. Jock, what's your game day food today? And what's your game day food and what's your score prediction?
Game day food. Wings. Always
All
wings.
right. I like it.
Wings and beer. You always got to throw the beer in there.
Mm.
What's your favorite type of wings though? This is important.
Like flats.
Yeah, flavor. No, but what type of flavor?
Oh, flavor. Ooh, lemon pepper or honey barbecue.
That's what I'm talking about. Donald, hold on. Give me a score prediction. What do you think,
Prediction.
John?
I gotta take Alabama 42 to 17, 42-20. No, 42 to 20. Then Miami gets 20. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Dono, ended on a good note, man. Well, I mean, I gotta give mine too. So.
Well, I'm going to go. First of all, yeah, grilled wings are on the menu for me today. I'm gonna put some like Frank's Red Hot sauce or something on there. Now, if I'm going like to a restaurant, I tend to like garlic parmesan is up there, and also lemon pepper. That's another solid wing choice. But I'm going grilled wings today at home, and guys, I got to tell you, man, I need all these negative Debbie Downers over here.
I'm telling you, man.
My pick today, I'm going University of Miami, 38. Alabama Crimson Tide, 35. Let's go!
Let's go, baby!
Let's go!
My God, get it together over there on that side. This side right here, this is the best side, man. Are you kidding me? I'm going. By the way, I'm going ribs. I'm putting
Dono, let me ask you just one quick.
Oh God, here we go. Here's the jock question. Here it is.
Are we using a betting app with your choice right now?
I have bet Miami plus 19 and a half.
Yeah,
I have not bet the money line, but actually that gives me see Jakari, he's smart. He knows how to do the whole broadcasting game. Let me plug the official sports book of Dono Daily, betus.com, because people ask me all the time, where do you place wagers? Where do you bet online? betus.com and use my code 5RSN125. If you sign up today with our code 5RSN125, you get 125% sign up bonus. So if you put $100 deposit, they'll give you $125 of free play money on top of your deposit, so you can bet on those Canes today. So I have not bet the money line, at least not yet, but I have bet Miami plus 19 and a half. Let's go.
I'll take it, baby. I'll take it. By the way, I'm doing ribs today. I'm putting them in now after the show. So I got ribs. I've got some sausage, some Calabrese sausage. Okay, I know you. Yeah, I know you like those, Dono. A little Calabrese sausage. And I'm going to Wingstop for my lemon pepper and my spicy Korean barbecue wings. But I do love garlic. I actually made some garlic parmesan wings the other day with some butter, garlic parmesan, parsley. Threw that in there. It was awesome. But anyways, lemon pepper, spicy Korean ribs. And I'm going to go with you, Donald. I'm taking it, baby. I'm going 33-27 Miami.
Love it. Wow, that's a big win. Double digits.
I'm going with this. I'm going with this right here. I'm going with this. No, 33-27. So 6 by a touchdown.
Sorry, math is not my strong suit.
I will say this before we get off. I do think if Miami does win, it has to be like a 45-42 game or 48.
Yeah, and we're gonna be the most obnoxious fan base you've ever heard in your life.
Get ready.
Oh yeah.
Oh, it's gonna be awesome. I love it. Thank you guys for joining the show. By the way, you can check us out on the 5 Reasons Sports YouTube channel. Please make sure you subscribe, give us a thumbs up. Help us out there. That'll be great. You can hear us all at one point or another. Actually, you can hear Dono every week, right? Every week from 12 to 1, is it, Dono?
Yeah, every weekday from 12 to 1. So we are going to be doing a show Labor Day. I know like people are wondering Labor Day. Yeah, because I can't not come on the Monday after Miami versus Alabama. So I will be putting myself to work on Labor Day, 12 noon. So we'll be recapping an amazing Hurricanes victory.
Woo! I love it. Make sure you check him out. Again, BetUS. Right, BetUS.
Yeah, BetUS.com.
BetUS.com. Use the code 5RSN125. And check us out every Wednesday at 7:30 for the 6 Rings Kane Show. Also, again, thank you all for joining us. And we'll have a little post game fiasco as well if you guys want to join. Anybody that wants to join on that, check us out. And have fun. Enjoy the game. Be safe out there, everybody. Go Canes. Oh, and thanks, David.
Okay.
Thank you, David, for producing it.
Thank you, Dave.